Listen, I'm telling you the truth right now. Like, this is the coolest thing. I don't know what has been happening the last couple of weeks. I went overseas, then Kirk went overseas, and now we're
This is
back
true.
within hours of each other,
Come on.
hanging out with you guys. Kirk, man, I'm glad to have you back in the States.
I'm glad to be back, man. And I tell you what, you have had some phenomenal guests and some phenomenal shows. So like I mentioned before, I'm happy to be back here. Oh. Let me get
Where'd
myself
you
right
go?
here.
Where'd you go?
I don't know what happened. It just like it jumped away from me or whatever.
It's all
But
good.
yeah,
What's
I'm
up,
happy to be
Jeremy? I
back.
see you, sir.
I see David Hunt in the chat. I see Ecamm live in the chat. Steven
Yeah, that's actually the
Strickland is in this
Zoom
chat.
link that you see there. The Zoom link is there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Zoom link is
Okay,
there. So
cool.
for anybody to want to hang out with us today, I haven't stopped that, Kirk. I haven't stopped it.
No, and why would you? And why would you? The only thing I would say is that, if especially if they're coming on to get advice, then they may need to just sow a seed.
I know, right? I know, right?
That's the only thing I would add. But why
My
would
man
you? I mean, we have the
Daniel.
functionality.
Yeah, why not come hang out with us and chill out
Absolutely.
and ask a question or just hang. This is going to be a good one today. So this is actually part 2 of a show that we tried to do, and
Right.
Zoom completely took over. Like, it completely took over our show. So we want to teach you guys. I say that Kirk is going to help lead this discussion today.
Absolutely.
Talking about how, as a content creator, you could grow without hiring a full-time employee. I think that's a big deal. And there's tons of tools, tons of ways of doing it. Our thing is, what I like helping people with, Kirk, is number one, if you're going to be a content creator, find ways to monetize it. Because otherwise, you are going to be sick, and it's not going to be something you're going to enjoy if you don't have a way to monetize. And I'm not saying you need to make millions of dollars, but $100 here and there goes a long way, right? To say you're actually getting paid to do this, and then once you grant permission. So once you do that, you are then at a place to where you can actually find ways to grow. So you make a little money, find ways to grow all along the way. So I had a lot of stuff going on here, and I
no. You deal with a couple of those things, and let me get a couple of these comments. I see David Hunt saying, "What's up?" to Dwayne Wood is in the chat. I haven't seen you on the stream show for a little minute, Dwayne. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Always appreciate your presence. Awesome Wood Thing says hello, love it. Richard says hi, folks. What's going on? Live, I love it. Daniel Chi is the Ecamm whisperer. We appreciate you coming through.
Is he done?
No, really. Like, this guy speaks Ecamm. No, I'm looking forward to. I don't know if they're going to do a joint again, but I know you had Alec on last week or was it the week before? Whichever week it was.
Last week.
You had Alec on. That's right, and I was in New Zealand. That's right. You had Alec on, and I was saying we were talking to him about what presentation he's going to be doing at Creator Camp, and I think he said he's going to do it again with Daniel. I'm like, man, I need them to separate those two because I need to get them separately because it's just a bit much. But here's one of the things I want to prime the pump with tonight. If you're creating content, whether it's live content, whether it's pre-produced content, whether it's hybrid content, whether it's podcasts, right? Whether it's short form, right? If you're reels and shorts, maybe you are a completely mobile only creator, meaning you from concept to posting, you do it all on the mobile phone. I don't care where you find yourself in the spectrum of content creation. There are ways that you can scale to be able to increase your output without having that heavy load on your back. One of the things I like to do as a content coach is talk to my clients about how you can offload some of that stuff. Look, there's a cycle that goes along with this whole content creator journey.
That's right.
You got to, if whether it's a live show or if it's actual content, there's a cycle. And that cycle has many different stops in it for you to be able to reach home, right? And home is, either the content has been posted or the live show has been done and streamed and it's out there for people to consume. All right. And then once that's done, there may be some repurposing things that you need to do. I don't know. That's your process. My point is there's this cycle. And that cycle is kind of like, mail, mail that just keeps on coming. It never stops. The content monster is always hungry. Think of Oscar the Grouch or the Cookie Monster. The content monster is always hungry and you must feed it new content. And so there's this cycle. And one of the reasons why people quit YouTube, one of the reasons why people quit content creation and live streaming is because they have struggled to continue to feed that monster consistently. And one of the main reasons why people feel that way is because they have not scaled their content process. And by scaling, we're going to share with you some things that don't necessarily have to do with hiring a full-time anyone. Now, I'm not talking about editor, but I'm saying from all the other aspects, from graphic design, from all these different things, figuring out ways that you can expand your team, right? Add more hands to the cycle without you having to actually touch certain pieces. There's a book that I read recently called Essentialism. I'm forgetting the author right now, but one of the things that he espouses is that as you look at the things you have to do in the course of your day or week or month, in that whole cycle of content creation, there are some things that are essential, meaning only you can do those things. Only I can get on the camera and actually do what I do for my channel. And that maybe that's true for yours as well. But those essential items, you want to make sure you are doing, and everything else that doesn't fall in that essential category, we now need to start looking at finding ways to increase the team so that you have more people who can help you do those things. You can maintain consistency, you can increase quality, and you can ensure longevity in your content journey. So one of the things that in terms of expanding the team now, so let me start this off by asking a question. How many of you would welcome assistance in your content journey? Just put a Y in the chat.
I like that.
Would you, or maybe you don't need, and that's okay. We want to divide the stranger among us tonight. Maybe you don't need it. Maybe you put an N in the chat. But if you would welcome some assistance, if you're saying, man, I would love to have somebody in the trenches with me doing some of this work, because as I look at it, it's a mountain, and sometimes I get a little overwhelmed. So I just want to kind of do a little temperature check, if you will. Put a Y in the chat. I see one Y already, Strick. There's a Y in the chat already. Images by Gretchen says Y, says yes. Okay, so that means at least for Gretchen, this topic is scratching where she's itching. If you look at your entire, maybe some of you haven't put a Y because you haven't looked at the entire mountain of work that you have to do to create content. And maybe for you, it's
the Ys are coming in. It takes a second. We're about 30, 40 seconds behind on YouTube. AG is saying hello to everybody as well. Awesome Wood Things. Y. So they're saying yes. Equip Institute. Y saying yes. And Business Growth Ready saying, I guess, control freak. He's like, yes and no.
Listen, Business Growth Ready. Thank you for being honest. I'm there with you. And I want to be clear. Some of what we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be bringing in people, and some of it is going to be automation. Some of it is going to be AI. Let me just repeat that. These are the three segments. Some of it's going to be bringing in people, but we're not going to be bringing them in to pay them. We're bringing them in. Maybe you have a barter. All right. I'm going to start there, but I'm not going to dive into it just yet. But some of it is going to be automation, right? Yeah. If there are steps in the process to get a guest on your show, let's take that process, for instance. There's no reason why that process can't be automated. There's no reason why you can't record videos, walk people through the process, and then allow the process to do its work. And that takes some of those steps off of your plate. Then the third one is, of course, going to be AI. And DJ Strick and I think one of the most popular videos that we've done here on the stream show was a list of AI platforms that you can use in your content journey. So we want to talk about all three of those tonight. I see the Ys rolling in.
Yeah,
DJ Strick is correct. They're flowing. I see hands raised. I see Y from Awesome Wood Things, Equip Institute. AG, you said right. Dwayne Wood, Keta Francis Johnson. Is it Katia?
Keisha. It's spelled different, but it's Keisha. So she's
Keisha,
saying,
man, look.
yeah. Remember, you
Oh,
met
I
her
see
at
it now. I'm not gonna lie. No.
content
I
creation
remember
camp.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember exactly who she is now. I just don't remember I couldn't see it clearly because my eyes are going. These glasses are for show. They're not actual glasses. That's the problem. I need to stop trying to be cute and put some real glasses on. But thank you guys for responding. Thank you guys. It took a bit for us to dig out from under the mountain to type the why. Thank you so much, Gretchen, for being
honest. And
Jeremy,
I see you over in the Zoom. We'll come to you really quick. Have a comment. I know you have something that you can add to it. So Rainy Cajun is hanging out with us. I've already put the Zoom link inside of the comments, so you guys can check that out. If you want to hang out in Zoom with us tonight, you could do that. And then personally come on and ask your question. We're kind of getting away from the text comments, so we actually have a call-in show. We have all of these Ecamm users. Turn your camera on, turn your lights on, come hang out with us, ask your question. You don't have to stay, but you can come on and ask your question, make your comment, and go off. So we would love to have you as part of our show. And so that's anybody that wants to be able to do that. This show is important to us because we want to help you make the next step. I already said this earlier, Kirk. Monetizing what you do, whatever it is important to me to help you be able to monetize. That keeps you going. But in order to get to that next step, you have to find a way to grow your business and without spending money that you necessarily don't have to spend. Before this craze with AI and all of these apps that have come out to help us be content creators, we have to pay a lot of people to do the work that now we're able to do in a shorter amount of time. So what's happening today, Kirk is leading this conversation, guys. I really want you to lock into this and get something out of today. We had to do a part 2 because we got caught up with Zoom last time. We're not going to do that. We're going to help you. So Kirk, I want to turn it back over to you.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I'm glad you said that. In fact, I want to say this to somebody else out there. Is another question. We're gonna have a number of these questions. I want this to be interactive as interactive as possible. How many of you consider what you do a content business? Now you can put that in the chat, but I do want to make sure that you recognize that what you're doing is a content business. This is super critical for my first point, which is expanding your team. Why is it critical for you to recognize that this is a content business as you expand your team? Because there are people who are getting value from what you're providing. That's right. Pause because I want to make sure that people in the back who are not paying attention, tap your friend, make sure that they're paying attention. There are people who are getting value from what you're providing. And so one of the first ways that you expand your team is by selecting moderators. I had a coaching call and this lady, she has about 20 to 25 very committed audience members who show up for her live streams. And she was like, man, it's getting to be so much to manage the comments. I'm like, well, why don't you deputize somebody? She's like, well, one or two of my audience members, they kind of do it already, but I just kind of felt a little way about really giving them the wrench. I don't know. I feel like I'm giving up some of my power. I'm like, sis, you're drowning.
Right.
Expand your team. And she's like, well, if I'm honest, I just don't have anything to pay them. I said, you're already paying them with the value you're providing. Exactly. Now, do you see it, everybody? Do you see it now? Do you see why I started with that question? Do you recognize that what you're doing is a content business? Because what is business? It's an exchange. It's an exchange. Sometimes it's monetary. Sometimes it's value. Now, for her, in this instance, the value is she gets somebody who manages comments, and she also is providing that person with value. And so all she did is have a moderator session once a quarter, y'all. Now I know people who have moderators and they don't have anything. I personally have a whole chat for my moderators. Like we have a whole chat where we can chat. I drop links in there. They ask questions. They have access to me that nobody else has. And that level of access, for that level of access, all I ask them to do is moderate for my channel. And
that's important, guys. So let me stop you there, Kirk, because that's important. Kirk has several things he's doing as a business. All right. And communicating with him off times from being live is a big deal for him and his family and his businesses. So to have access to be able to ask questions in real time, to have a group chat going, like just like I'm saying this about Kirk, but it's also about you. All right. So if you're a content creator and you have people following you, people that are on all the time, recognize them, allow them to get the wrench, and guess what? Put the ball in their court. For what they would do with that opportunity.
Woo.
Will they appreciate the opportunity, or they're looking to get paid? Because we understand this business, in the content business, the online business. Man, I have this shirt on today. Daniel, I hope you're still here. Daniel, I hope you're still here. This shirt says "Here to Serve." Now, this is a shirt from our church that we have for our volunteers. But when Daniel was on, I was trying to go down that route again with telling people that they can monetize their ability with Ecamm. Like you being a producer and knowing how to work Ecamm, you can monetize that and get paid for doing it. And he said yes, but he also wants you to have the mindset of being a servant, finding ways to help people with your ability to work Ecamm. So if you have people with that mindset that's willing to serve and help you in what you're doing, guess what? I think it's the economy, the creator economy that you get into. You help while you're helping you grow, right? Because now you're part of somebody else's content creation. Their audience knows you now. So if you're creating, you get a chance to create on your end saying, hey guys, I also have a show. If you're a moderator, guess what? That gives you an opportunity to speak, right? Nobody's going to tell their moderator not to promote what they're doing. In the right context, right? In the right context. So finding ways to serve somebody is a part of it. And as a good content creator, you want to find people, content creators that have already learned that skill of wanting to serve.
Yeah. Now, listen, this is a cheat code of cheat codes. I hope that you guys are don't just take the one scenario or the two scenarios, one I shared and what Strick shared, and say, oh, okay, that may work. Think about it and extrapolate out. Put it in your own personal context.
Right.
How would bringing moderators on work for me? Maybe you don't do a chat group. Maybe you don't do a session at once a quarter. What does it look like for you? Just keep in mind that what you provide to people on YouTube or on whatever social platforms you're on is of value. And so because you are already providing value, there's some gimmicks and different games that people try to play. It's like, well, if I ask them to do this, then I need to make sure I'm providing something. You're already providing the value. I got a chance to be on Clubhouse. Rest in peace, Clubhouse. Pour out a little liquor for the dearly departed. But I got a chance to be on Clubhouse, and in this creator room, everybody was talking about what can I give my members for signing up to be members, and there was so many different ideas that were thrown out. They were phenomenal. I mean, idea after idea, and I was just writing feverishly like, this is absolutely amazing. One of the last people to speak was Luria Petrucci, somebody that's very well known here on this channel, and a good friend of both Strick and I. Luria kind of chimed in. She's like, listen, fam, everything you guys said is great and all, but I want to make sure you understand that when somebody signs up for membership, they're not signing up because you asked nicely. They're not signing up because of some graphic that you had come up on screen that just compelled them to sign up. They're signing up because they receive value already.
That's right.
For many of them, they're signing up for membership as a response to the value you've already provided them. And so if you don't have membership yet, one of the value items that you can ask people to do is to help you moderate. One of the value items that you can ask people to do is to assist in some of the tasks that you have in your cycle, right? That content cycle, to be able to take some of those things off of your plate and allow you to really focus on what is essential.
I know this is one of your points. I know this is one of your points, Kirk. I want to interrupt you really quick because we do have some people in Zoom, and we have Florence in Zoom, who's actually a part that's one of your moderators, right?
Yes, she is. Florence Donald, absolutely.
So let's go. Let me figure out how to do this. I think I got Jeremy on first. Jeremy, how you doing, sir? Yeah, I know you just
Hey,
kind of popped
Jeremy.
up.
I'm good. I'm good. You
I
caught
know
me off
you're
guard
hanging out
there.
here with us. Let me go to Florence and I'll come right back to you, okay?
Sounds good.
Hey,
There she is. How are you doing,
Lawrence, what's
ma'am?
going on? Always good to have you.
Oh, you
Oh,
gotta come
well,
off
we don't
mute
hear.
for me.
Yeah,
There we
mute will
go.
be good. Good to see you back in country, sir.
Yes,
And
indeed.
I'm
It's good to
almost
be back.
always hanging out, learning and taking notes. So
Absolutely.
I have not experienced Ecamm for Zoom by going into a Zoom session. So
Well, there
that was
you
my
Okay.
main
go.
thing today.
Okay.
And I learned something earlier with my community. I do a thing with my community on Sundays at 4:30 and learned a
Mm-hmm.
little trick to that I hadn't thought all the way through, but I can
Mm.
definitely use it. And it kind of goes with what you all are saying about
Okay. Okay.
adding support to your team. It was an accident when I did it, but I was like, oh, this will work. So
The truth is, man, scaling from a content perspective is going to be wildly particular, wildly specific. So the way that I scale isn't necessarily going to be the best next step for somebody else because I don't know what your cycle looks like. And maybe there are some points in that cycle that are really pain points for you. And so I love it. I love that what you're sharing. I love the feedback. I really love this Zoom feature, to be quite
I
honest with
do.
you.
I
Any
do too.
questions, sis,
hmm
before we, I know Jeremy's in there as well. We want to see if
Hmm.
we can get him up on screen too, because I got a couple other points I want to throw out here. But any questions for us before we bring Jeremy up?
so one of my next steps, my journey I shared with you in the community earlier, I'm doing my next run, as I call it,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
next run of challenges. And so one of those items is video editing, which I know like nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to take it on. And so I'm going to be listening tonight about how do you do that effectively, get the
Mm-hmm.
skills, and be able to edit specifically
Yeah.
for pre-recorded
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
without it overwhelming you, because I don't
So
do overwhelm like at all.
this this is perfect. This is perfect. Let me just respond really quick, and then we're gonna get Jeremy on here, and then I'm determined, Strick. I've got notes here, and we're gonna get through all of them
We're gonna
tonight.
get
Okay.
through the notes, man. We're gonna get through them. Last time, Florence, we didn't get a chance to get. We got to number 4, and that was it. So we're rocking and rolling with
Oh
this right
man.
now.
No,
But
we're rocking and rolling. Yeah. No,
yes, sir.
I want to respond by saying one of the misconceptions about video editing is that live streaming is not video editing. Live streaming is a form of video editing.
It
When
is.
you have your intro and you have your content and you have your bumper and you have your segment and you have your guests come in and you do Q&A and you bring comments on screen and then you close it all with an outro, that video is now prepared and it's ready. But those are all different components that you basically put on a timeline, which was your live stream, and then your live stream put it all together for you and made it into one cohesive piece of content. And now that video is available. So one of the things I say to some of my, fledgling, those who are just getting started, one of the easiest ways is to make sure you have your assets ready and just string them together in a live stream. Like I got a guy right now, he has completely forgone all of the different editing platforms. He just puts them all in Ecamm and presses play on the first one and goes through by the time he gets to the last one and it ends the broadcast, ends the recording, his video is edited and it's ready to upload. So I just want to expand the thinking, especially as we are content creators, we want to do this the easy way. Yes, learning the skills is critical because especially if you ever want to hire a editor down the line, you're going to need to know what you don't like and what you want. And you want to be able to give them realistic timelines. And the only way you do that is by understanding how to edit in the first place. But I also want to make sure for the person out there that's like, man, I can't get started with content creation because I don't know how to edit a video. Take that out of your mind. You can edit video just by using a platform like Ecamm.
That's right.
So thank you for that question. And I hope that was meaningful to somebody else out there as well.
I want to add this really, really quick.
I love
Kurt had thought of that as a way, but as some of us are so in tune. So I did radio for a long time. Going live is what I want to do. Okay. I just love being live. I would rather do that. All right.
Yep.
The best editing is no need for editing at all. Facility. Thank you for saying that. At some point, there may be something that you want to do. And there's someone out there that has a business plan based on editing their video. Okay. If you haven't edited videos at all, and you're starting, you have an idea. I recommend, and Kirk, you can say whether you recommend this or not. My recommendation is using an app called CapCut. CupCut. CapCut. Okay. It has a mobile version and a desktop version. And
most people
really
don't know about
simple.
the desktop version.
Yeah, the desktop version I like using better because, I can see it a whole lot better, but I have used the mobile app on my phone and I'm able to kind of get through it. It is it has a free version and it has a paid version. You're able to do the splicing, you're able to do transitions. And it's a great way to get started before you go to DaVinci, Final Cut, or Premiere Pro. With all of those things are professional versions of editing, which I use Premiere Pro. But when I really want to get something done really quick, I'm going to CapCut. Whether, again, it's on my desktop or on my phone and not Premiere Pro. So I do have some clients that I need to do it in Premiere Pro because of the output, the output that I get from Premiere Pro as far as the resolutions I'm able to kind of dial in. But for social media stuff and throwing up on YouTube, I like CapCut, and that's just my recommendation. And Money is saying CapCut is a user-friendly editing software for sure. I use the desktop version. So if you say something and then get an amen from Money Weaver, you're kind of on point. You're kind of on point.
You got to be on point
for hanging out with us.
But I see Ravens talk with Yolanda. She shared the same as well. I love CapCut, and it's very much a beginner-friendly platform. So for those that are thinking out there, okay, all right, well, I've only ever heard of Final Cut. Maybe you haven't heard of some of the others. I personally use DaVinci Resolve. I love it. I think everybody's going to go DaVinci Resolve here pretty soon. That's a whole
Premiere
other
Pro, sir.
We
have to fight about it. We have to fight about it.
But I'll say this, but CapCut is absolutely amazing. It is very friendly, and it allows you to get it done. This is the point, though. What enables you to get it done? See, a lot of people want to get stuck in the best, the most feature rich.
Come on.
All these other metrics of comparison. For me, as a coach, I say to my coaching clients, what will enable you to get it done? Tell me would this get you to, is this going to get you to get it done? Is this going to get you to get it done? Whatever is going to enable you to get it done, DONE done, post it. It's up there. It's consumed by people, viewers on different social platforms. Done is better than perfect. Done is better than which platform is the best. And I'm a huge proponent of that. Thank you so much, Florence, for the question. What's Jeremy got for us? Because I
want to go to Jeremy. Jeremy, we're coming your way, sir. But before we get Kirk to say anything else, okay? Before we get Kirk to say anything else, I'm sitting at 8 likes. 8 likes.
Come on.
And I just feel like that we need to get, a couple more likes in here before we really move on. Jeremy, here we come, sir. Thank you, Miss Florence, for hanging out with us. Jeremy, I got you. We're waiting on 2 more likes before, or 1 more like now before I get Kirk to go on. You can talk. Me and you can talk. Kirk is on quiet time right now.
I'm quiet. Kirk, before I gotta get more likes.
There's no such thing with Kirk. Come on.
I'm glad you know. I'm glad you know. I'm so glad you know this. Oh my word.
I mean, it was interesting discussion about the editing tools. I think it comes down to familiarity more than anything else, right? I mean, when you think about it, I've used CapCut. I use Final Cut Pro as my primary editor, but that's because what I kind of taught myself on, right? And I know DaVinci has a lot of great color grading tools and color correction tools, and I just don't know how many nonlinear editors I have to learn, in order to keep current. I just don't. Personally, I don't see the benefit of it. But if I can get done what what I need to get done, I'm just going to kind of stick to where I am. I
and
guess
that's the right thing. That's definitely the right thing.
That's the right thing. I think, one of the a huge point that just left a lasting impression on me was that the idea of social content is that it's still social content. People aren't coming to YouTube and Instagram and these platforms and looking for Amazon Prime or Hulu or Netflix or anything Hollywood based, right? They're not looking for big box production. They're looking for something that kind of looks like what it would look like if I did it myself. And the further you get away from that, in my opinion, the further you get away from the point of social content. So, we got folks out here mastering stuff and doing all manner. I mean, just guys, you're doing too much. Monty said right there, cut, delete, export is all I need. Cut, delete, and export. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, get the content out there. Let somebody consume it. I tell you what, one of my best videos was with a phone. And I think I edited in a platform called WeVideo, which is a web-based platform. It was horrendous, but that joint has thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Why? Because of the content that was in the video, not necessarily because of how I edited it. So I think we want to make sure that the emphasis is on the right syllable, because when you do that, then you ensure that the content takes center stage. Your content takes center stage. And one of the reasons why we're having this show tonight, I'm bringing it back full circle, Strick. One of the reasons why we're having this show tonight is because as you scale, you are freed up to focus back in on the content. I had a coaching client recently, and one of the reasons why she was looking to quit content was because she had forgotten why she got into it in the first place. Wow. She got bogged down with average view duration, got bogged down with metrics, got bogged down with thumbnails and descriptions and titles and clickbait. And she just got bogged down with all the technical aspects. And I was like, yo, clear the clutter. Why do you create content in the first place? And once she realized, like, I'm not even creating content to go viral. I'm creating content because it's something that I actually love to do. When she was able to tap back into that place, she's able to maintain consistency again. And one of the things she had to do in order to do that is begin to offload some of the stuff that was required. Offload, it's a long list of things to go from concept to posted, past tense. It's a lot of things that you have to do. And what we're saying is, as a content business, as a content entrepreneur, you, sir, you, ma'am, content entrepreneur, you are going to need to offload some of those things in that list for that cycle so that you can focus back in on the main thing.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, we're going to come back to you, sir, so don't go anywhere. Yeah. We do have him and Florence hanging out in Zoom. If you need the Zoom link, it's in the – I'm going to put it back in the comments.
I think you need to comment on Matt's comment, though. He said Final Cut Pro never crashes, ever. That's a farce.
Is it a farce? All of them crash at some point, right? And some of that's going to be on the end user. Like, what are you doing? Because it could be the computer or whatever. So people are talking about the using Final Cut Pro and CapCut. It's chunky, but he has top-notch results. These are just part of the things, okay, that we're talking about. And I don't want to get sidetracked because if you know how to edit, we have to go to the next thing because there's so many areas as a content creator that you could pay a full-time person to do. But how can we help you today not do that, not pay a full-time person to do it? And Kirk is back on your side.
Absolutely. So listen, fam, I want to ask this before we get away from the moderator portion.
You're back on because we had 17 likes. I forgot to say that.
My bad. 17.
They hit the button, man. They hit the button.
They hit the button. Listen, that's going to get this out there. And do we need to explain this every week? But let me say it again. That's going to make sure that the right people hear this particular content. Now, how many of you have heard of Nightbot? Just go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of Nightbot. Nightbot is this really cool tool, utility for YouTube channels It allows you as the creator to define specific terms. And when you put that term in, it will kick out a particular action. Let's say for my good friend David Hunt, he has a show that he does a couple mornings a week where he calls it Morning Piano. There you go. David Hunt put a 1 in the chat, of course. And in that stream, if you type home, I think it's home, he has it set up. If you type home, it will actually paste your YouTube channel link in the chat, which you can't do unless you're a moderator. Oh gosh, I hope that you're catching this thing. The Nightbot has so much functionality in it just for you to be able to manage your stream. And for those that actually know what your call phrases are, what your terms are, they can come in, they can type whatever is needs to be typed, and then it allows the host to showcase or highlight that comment just because you've already done the work behind the scenes before you went live to be able to give that utility to your people. It's phenomenal, but it's one of the ways you can scale your content, scale what you're doing without having to actually physically do the work yourself. So some of you said, hey, I'm too much of a control freak. I don't necessarily want to give anybody the wrench. Okay. Use something like a Nightbot and allow that to help you with your comments. Allow that to do some of the heavy lifting in terms of some of the stuff that you want to have done. So that's one thing I wanted to say there. But in terms of expanding your team, here's another thing. Are you in a town that has a college? Are you in a town that has a university? One of the things that I've been doing for quite a long time is mentoring. I want to say that that's the proper term. The term is not using free labor. The term is not utilizing college students to do some of the work that I need to do. No, what I'm actually doing is mentoring them. What I'm actually doing is showing them the rhythm and the cycle of a content creator so that they have that in their experience set as they go forward in life. Some of the folks that I've mentored have bigger channels than I do now. Some of the folks that have done some of my thumbnails, they learned how to hone a thumbnail by working with me. Some of the folks who I've had go through and do the chapters, chapter markers, go through the video and actually type out the different chapters and make sure that those chapters are available. Those are young people, men and women that love this whole content creator game. Let me be clear, y'all. I went to my kid's school. My daughter's in 7th grade, just finished. She's going to be 8th grade in the fall, but she's 7th grade. All of those kids at this school wanted to work with me. Every single one was like, you're a YouTuber? What? I want to work with you. You're going to teach me how to do YouTube? I'm saying this to say there are many ways to scale.
That's right.
But you have to change your thinking to recognize that you have value to provide. You're giving somebody experience and a window into a world that they otherwise would not have access to. And you have to look at what you have to offer as more valuable than what you're asking them to do.
So I'm gonna stop you right there, Kirk. I know you guys are hanging in there with us. I have to put a pin right here because we're talking about how you could grow your content business without hiring full time. And one of the things that Kirk has said a couple of times already is that you have value. Okay? Your intellectual properties, pointing his head, your intellectual property that you're giving out as content is valuable.
It's valuable.
Okay? It's valuable. The thing that may have taken you a year to learn that you can now regurgitate to somebody in an hour's time and they learn it. It took you a year to learn it. They learn it in an hour's time. That is value to them because you saved them time by giving them the information. You have value. Now, with that value, he's at school. There's churches. Okay. If you have a business, you can actually do interns. Okay. Volunteer time with your business. You know, all of those things can happen to where you're getting qualified people that you can teach small things to do, and then they're helping you through the process. And guess what? You do not have to pay them because you have value with the information that you have. Kirk, I love the example of, and this has happened to me as well, helping people and they shoot past me because their niche and the time that they started doing what they were doing, it just rocketed. It just kept going, right? Those things happen. But You got to understand, you at some point you can't be so modest about what you're doing. You can't have that imposter syndrome. Well, there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of content creators. Like, why would somebody want to help me? Because you have value.
Come on. Sit right down on the couch.
You just have to do that. You got value.
Yeah, you have value. You have value. And I tell you what, man, that was a major unlock for me, was recognizing this. I'll give you one other example just to kind of drive the point home even further. There's a company that does content for several people, and they hired somebody who previously was working with me as a helper or intern or whatever you want to call them, right? Unpaid. And when they hired that person and realized that that person didn't need any of the training that they normally take their people through, they asked the person to come back to me and ask me, do I have anybody else?
Wow.
Oh gosh. They wanted to hire anybody else that I had been working with.
Wow.
Because they drastically cut down the time that they needed to train that person. That person came in the door and immediately was effective. New chapters, understood value propositions and target market, understood descriptions, the different from a flyer. They understood the inner workings and mechanics of content creation. They didn't have to teach it. And they were like, anybody else you have that's looking for work, even if it's part-time while they work with you, we want to hire them. I'm saying this to say you have value. You have value. There's information, there's processes and procedures that you have developed. There's a way that you do the thing that you do. And as you bring people on and teach it to them, that is the pay. You don't have to physically come out of pocket. That is the pay. You're paying them with information. You're paying them with your time. You're paying them with access to you. And that is of immense value. Anybody you want to expand and bring onto the team. I've got 5 video editors working with me at the media ministry. None of them are paid. And they edit broadcast quality videos.
Right.
Not one paid, because of the value they feel they're getting from us. And that's what I want to say that part as we talk about scaling as a creator. The other pieces that we talked about in terms of scaling as a creator is automation. And we talked about Nightbot, and of course, we're going to talk about platforms like Opus Clip and Capshow and Calendly and several of these other platforms. But it's all going to be pertaining to, all going to relate to, what is your process? What is your process? What is in that cycle that allows you to go from concept to produced, concept to live stream complete, concept to complete, right? Whatever's in that cycle is going to determine what are those steps. And once you determine those steps, you can now start looking at products and platforms that can help to automate those steps. I say it this way: if I have to do the same thing every week, I'm looking at ways I can automate that joint. I'm looking at ways that I can automate it. If I've got to send it, oh my word, I have a draft box in my email with all these different templates that I'm constantly sending. I literally just change the name at the top and I send that email out to somebody. I said, nope, I got to stop doing this, because I'm doing the exact same thing week after week after week. So I'm trying to figure out ways to automate that process. Okay. Setting up a page on my website called support that has a video at the top, and it literally walks people through which option to select. And when they select it, they receive the feedback that they need, and I don't have to touch it. If I'm going to have a guest on the show, I want to automate that process so that I don't have to touch it. The guest is booked. The thumbnail is created because they submitted their headshot, and it automatically feeds into a process, an automated process, and it's done. Imagine that those steps are done for you. How much time you could get back as a content creator. And even though in this stage, we are talking about paying a little bit of money, maybe once a year, maybe once in a lifetime, depending on if you get it on AppSumo. But whatever it is not going to compare to hiring somebody.
That's right.
And so at this level, we are talking about making a little bit of an investment. There are some free ones out there, but by and large, a lot of the ones that we're going to be talking about in this segment, they will require a financial investment. And if you're not there, that's okay. But there are basic automation ways that you can employ, even in just your email, scheduling your replies, having those draft folders to, those messages that you always send, and maybe even getting somebody who is working a part of your team as part of what we just talked about a second ago to do some of that emailing back and forth, to schedule the guests and get some of those pieces done so that you don't have to. Go ahead, Doc.
So I got a good one. What if setting up automations takes longer than doing the task? I think that's a great question. I now answer it for you. Well,
no, go ahead.
So setting up an automation will take you longer than doing one task, but it should not take you longer than doing 2, 3, or 10 tasks. So once you set up the automation, it's down the line that you get your time back. Okay.
That's it.
So yes, at some point there's going to be a learning curve because it's a new app. How do I set up this automation? Like, you're going to have to take some time to figure out what's the best app that you could use for this. There's tons of them out there. People talk about Zapier, and guess what? Zapier is another one of those. It's kind of like a feeder of integrations to do automations, right? It's a feeder.
Absolutely. It's a
feeder.
Listen,
it's here for me. It's over my head. Okay, it's over my head. I know about
Tanya does
that
some phenomenal work with Zapier. Yep.
Who does?
Tanya.
Okay, I got to figure out, get with Tanya about how in the world you integrate Zapier and all this stuff they talk about. There's another one that's out there that's called Maker. Are you familiar with Maker? Mm-hmm. Maker allows you to make those steps from what I saw. Those steps to me looks like it may be a little easier to set up. So I hadn't worked with Zapier because it's just too much at one time for me. That being said, once you set up the automations, because Kirk, what you said you automate, like when I do guests for the show, I actually do manually. So I have a page inside of either my notes, because we use Macs, right? So either in Pages, I have a document that I just copy and paste, and I put in the name and the topic for the person, the guest that I have. Then I have to like copy and paste that over into a calendar invite with the description and all the other links, and that's done at one point. So if there was something to where I could just put in 1, 2, 3 things into automation, change the name and the email address, and it does all the other changes for me. Guess what? That would save me. Now, setting it up may take me some time, but it'll save me time down the line. I can just automate that process where I'm sending out more invites, and I won't have to worry about finding this Pages somewhere in my documents. I need to find a Stream Show guest invite page to copy and paste.
Here's what I want to say as well. You've answered the question so well, but I love the question. I want to say that to what's the name of the person that said that? Was that the facilitator? No. Okay. Either way. But I want to say, even as I was hiring a VA, because I did hire a VA, right? So I have a VA on team, virtual assistant. Even as I was hiring a VA, I was actually like, man, it's going to require so much work for me to train her to do some of the things that I need her to do. And yes, that process does take long. And in that time frame, I was still having to do the work that I hired her to do because she couldn't do it yet. But I will tell you this, 2.5 years later, oh my goodness, it was worth the investment. It was worth every second of taking the time out and having to do the double work and having to do the double checks and having to do the Zoom calls and the Loom videos and the this and the that to make sure she got to the level where she's now able to function and do the things for me. It's not just from a automation perspective, but even from a human resource perspective. You're going to have to, if you want somebody to help you to do something, you're going to actually have to figure out how to train them to help you to do it. Whether it's an automation or it's an actual person. I'm not saying it's easy.
It's not
but
easy.
I'm saying it's worth it.
It is worth it.
It is absolutely worth it because it allows me to focus back in on the main thing.
All right, let's go to the next one because I know we're running short on time here. We got about 10 more minutes left, Kirk.
Right. So here's the last piece. The last piece is on monetization. And some people are probably saying to themselves, I thought you were talking about scaling. How does monetization factor into the scaling process? And it's simple. It's very simple. Before you get, how best to explain this? Okay. So my dad said to me, if in order to plan not to smoke, right? Because I grew up in Florida, Jamaican descent. Everybody was smoking a little bit of herb. I'm not going to leave that alone. We're not going to touch down that. But I'm just saying, he was like, in order for you to actually not smoke, you have to practice what you're going to do if the opportunity ever arises.
I was like,
what? So he said, you have to practice saying no, or practice your response so that it comes natural, so that it's like a knee-jerk reaction. And here's what I want to say to you, because I know some of you are like, you lost me, Kirk. Monetization is going to come. It's going to come. In your content creator journey, monetization will happen. Somebody's going to hit you up. You're going to get an email from someone. Somebody's going to offer you some money for a content related project or something of the sort. And when that happens, you want to know ahead of time, what are you going to use that money for?
That's right.
When you're talking about scaling, one of the reasons why creators don't have money to scale is because they're constantly taking the money that they have made and mindlessly using it on randomness.
Right.
I'm telling you this from experience, as a person who has done it.
I like that.
Man, they paid $250 for that coaching call.
Where did it go?
What happened to it? Where did it go?
Right.
Because I didn't have a plan for it in the first place. And what I'm saying to you now, you learn from the benefit of my mistakes and my experience. Have a plan. If money comes in, what would you buy? If money comes in, what would you purchase? If money comes in, what subscription would you grab? If money comes in, okay, let me change it. And then I'm done. I'm gonna hand it back to Strict. When money comes in, what will you buy? When money comes in, what would you invest in? Who would you bring on team? When money comes in, you get the first YouTube check from the partner program. What are you going to use that money for? Don't go to McDonald's. Oh gosh, don't just grab something to eat. Put that money aside. Have a plan for that money. This is the process of scaling. You know, they say the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner is that an entrepreneur is like, I'm trying to figure out ways that I can do it all myself. A business owner is like, I'm trying to figure out ways that I can get out of the business completely and let it stand alone on its own 2 feet.
Right.
You got to be thinking about what you're going to do with that money before that money even is a possibility. Before the email hits your inbox, think about, what am I going to do with that? How am I going to invest that? Where am I going to put that money? Maybe some of you are on the month-to-month plan with Ecamm. That money comes in, pay for the year.
Right.
Oh God, I hope that you're hearing what I'm saying, y'all. Right. It doesn't have to be big things. It's stuff that puts time back in your calendar. It puts money back in your pocket. It allows for certain things to be done. What are you going to do with that money when it comes in? That's my last piece for you.
Florence, I'm coming you guys' way in just 1 second. I love it, Kirk, because these things are more than just applications. You talked about the process, having a process. Like I say that because one of the we live in Alabama, right? So the University of Alabama is here. Nick Saban, he's the former coach of that school. He talks about his process, or having a process for his team to be able to win those national championships.
Yeah.
If you don't have a process in place, all right, if you don't have something in place for you to be able to go to the next step, a plan. Like, you got a plan. If you don't plan to win or to succeed, you're actually planning to fail. All right. That's so good. So we're happy today if you plan well, if you have a great process that you can get down, you may not have to hire a full-time person. Okay, because your process, it will allow you to effectively do all that you need to do. And by the time you need that full-time person, guess what you'll have? You'll have the money to actually pay them. And you'll have the know-how of what they actually need to do. What do they call it? Oh man, SOPs?
Standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedures.
And
SOPs.
if this is your first time hearing this, you're not ready to hire anyway.
No, you're not. I had to delay.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I had to delay. I had hired a VA, and then I had to delay her start date by 2 months, so that I could figure out my SOPs. I wasn't ready. So, and if those SOPs, if I had been automating that during that time frame, if I had been looking at different platforms to define my process was all here. I never written it down. And then now I'm bringing people on who are going to have to body out steps that I've only had in my own head. SOPs. SOPs is going to save your life. And this is all about where you want to go and how you want to grow and where you eventually want to arrive at in your content journey. You want to establish yourself as a thought leader in a given space and have people knocking down your door to work with you. You want to have steady streams of referral-based opportunities that can turn into dollars and cents in your bank account. You want to grow and engage in an audience, and that audience can literally be the unlock to get into certain playgrounds all over these internet streets. You want to do those things? I challenge you. Listen, I dare you to get into content creation. I dare you to really take it seriously, to body out your process, to recognize that there is unarguable value in what you provide on a day-to-day basis. And that value somebody's willing to pay for. That value, somebody is quite literally waiting for you to hit the record button so that they can gain access to that value so they can get to the next level. That's what I love about content creation. It allows people to serve at scale with the value that they already have inside of them. And I hope that something that we shared here today was meaningful for you, that there were some tips, some tricks, some best practices that you can take away and you can implement in your content journey tomorrow.
Hey, listen.
I love this space.
This is awesome, Kirk. We're going to get to Jeremy and then Florence, guys, so get ready inside of the Zoom. I challenge you and dare you to do a couple of things. I need you to rewatch this, okay? Like in the morning, sometimes when you're getting ready to do content or you're thinking about it, or if you ever get down, I need you to put this video somewhere where you can remind yourself that you have value. Right? And the steps to be able to get to the next place, the process, and all the things that we talked about tonight. I need you to also find somebody that may be struggling that you know that you can share this video with. Share it with them, because what we talked about today was less about some of the apps and things that you can use and all of that, and really was about mindset for you to be able to understand who you are as a content creator, and then cut away from the thought that I need to hire somebody. All right, there's a bunch of steps you need to take before you hire a full-time person, because by the time, I've already said this, by the time you're really ready for a full-time person, you will have the funds to actually pay them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It'll be there. So that being said, Jeremy, I'm coming to you first, sir. I know you have something you want to add to the conversation. Rainy Cajun is here with us. What do you think, man? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm listening to you guys, and you're absolutely right. I mean, once you're at a point to hire somebody, you will have the funds, but don't go too fast, you know? And it also it's really helpful to understand the process yourself prior to hiring anybody on, because in the event that maybe even if you have SOPs, understanding the process and knowing what you want out of that process is ultra important if you're bringing somebody on.
That's right.
You can't just hire somebody and expect the best. They got to know your style. They got to know, you know, they actually have to watch you and determine, okay, yes, I can mimic the style, or I can do what's expected of me. I'm the kind of guy that when I hire somebody, I hire him with a certain level of expertise and expectations that you're going to plug and play. You know, I'll give you some guidance, but it's up to you now. I'm paying you to be the professional and take it from here. So it does take a lot.
That is a level of maturity, though. Because one of the reasons why I fired my first video editor, because they weren't editing like me. And it wasn't until I recognized, like, oh, you know what? I need to let go of the fact that, because they're never going to edit like me. Like I've got to let go of that concept of I need them to do it the way that I would do it. No, I actually hired them because they're better. They're a better video editor than I am. Let's just be clear on this.
Right.
I just want them to have my voice and my style and my vibe, but I want them to edit with their level of expertise. And that's a level of maturity, I would say, that you are approaching it with, to allow them those guidelines. This is the parameters, but you now have been hired for this. So I really want to let you go in this space. And that's absolutely awesome, sir.
It's kind of like when you take your kids to the bowling alley, you put the rails up, right? It's like, okay, you toss the ball down the lane, and it's going to bounce a little bit left and right, but I'll keep you in the lane,
That's it.
And that's really eventually what you'll have to, when you feel comfortable, you let down those guardrails, and then they'll take it home. They'll get the strikes.
That's it.
Well said, right on it, Jeremy.
So
you're right on it.
Thank you.
And I think tonight it's already been said. I said it, and it's been said in the comments about, could be very motivational. I think it's from an entertainment standpoint and educational standpoint, like this will really help you. But I also know the motivation people will get when they are told you have value, all right? And your value for getting people on the team is a really big deal, because all those other things, like sometimes you can have the money to hire a full-time person. It's kind of like when you were a kid and they say that money burning a hole in your pocket, like you want to spend it so bad, to be able to say, I have this, I have that. Like there may be times where you have the funds, but you also could pick up another process, or maybe not full-time, maybe just part-time, or, finding the actual steps, or taking the time to find the right person, which you don't do immediately. Like it's not like okay, I need this job, I'm gonna hire it tomorrow. Like you may want to take months to find the right person that you like to be able to complete the task that you need on an ongoing basis. So I'm saying all that to say, Jeremy, thank you so very much for hanging out with us, man. Anything else you want to kind of add?
No, not at all. I'm glad you're still keeping the Zoom stuff going. I think it's awesome, and I know a lot of people are gun shy to get on. DJ and DJ Strick and Kirk, they don't bite.
So, we don't bite.
Thank you. We might nibble a little.
Well, you did. You kind of got at me with the Nick Saban thing, but I'll leave that
alone. Hey, listen, I'm an Auburn guy, so it was hard for me to say, but I do, now that he's no longer the coach of Alabama, I can talk about how much I love his coaching style, and I do think that at the end of the day that Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach of all time. Like he has surpassed Bear Bryant.
It hurts me to say that, but I agree with you. So,
yes, I got to give props where props are due, right?
That's right. That's right. As much as it pains me, I'm just gonna go cuddle in my corner with my little Mike the Tiger now. And
thank you.
But you guys, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And like I said, everybody else, please drop in. Because these guys are really fun to talk to. And you, everybody's watching, and the both of you just have this the style about you that's really engaging, and frankly, it's kind of it's a great thing to have on a Sunday evening, right before we're getting into the work week. It's going in with a certain level of encouragement. So, yeah,
I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that, Jeremy. We thank you so very much. Florence, I'm coming to you next. And David, I see you, sir, so don't go anywhere. We actually started this, Brent and I started this on a Sunday night because we thought that through the pandemic, it was, Sunday nights is where people kind of rest to kind of get ready for the next day. It was already a good time to do it, like ending your weekend. Right. But it really was an extra day during the pandemic. Okay, it was like a give me day through the pandemic. So we thought that it was a great idea to do a Sunday night, and it really, really did go well. I thought about changing it to Thursday, but Sunday is just so wide open for all of us. And consistency, regardless of the day, the consistency of this, I think it may be 3 years.
Yeah.
It may be 3, maybe 2.5. I got to figure that out. Actually, we started in a January. Maybe we started January 2021. I think we started January 2021. I got to write this down so I can see. What would that be? Okay.
That'd be three and change. That'd be 3 and change. That's about 3.5 almost. Yeah, it's June now. Wow. So 3.5 years.
Wow.
I know I'm off camera, but just make sure.
No, you're back on.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, just make sure to try and not overlap, the afternoon games and then Sunday night football. Just saying.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there.
Don't overlap. Don't overlap. Don't overlap.
Don't overlap. Hey, listen, we did a Super Bowl show one time. We really did.
We did.
I mean, the first year was a Super Bowl show. Like, it was such a community during the pandemic. It overrode some of the things that were going on in the world. Now we've slowed down. Slow down to the fact that we don't do Mother's Day, we don't do Father's Day. There's some things that on Sunday we're gonna not do it because people have gotten back to their lives. But hey, thank you for mentioning it. That means the world to me. And thank you for your kind words for the show. Florence, I'm coming your way. Yes, Florence. Ma'am.
What's up?
Hello.
Any last words?
Yes, you were talking about automation, and we're all Ecamm. So that means we all use Macs.
That's right.
One built-in fantastic tool to learn, and you don't have to do complicated automations with it, is Apple Shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
DJ Strick, I was listening to you talk about automating some of the communications that you do.
Yes, ma'am.
There's an application called Drafts. It's just a text application, but it has a tremendous amount of automations in it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Shortcuts and Drafts together.
Apple Shortcuts and Apple Drafts.
It's not Apple Drafts. It's Drafts, and I can get the link in.
I think it's in the Mac store.
You, but you can get it in the Apple store. You can get it. It runs on iOS and Mac OS.
Gotcha.
And the two of those automations, those two tools together, powerful, especially for communication and moving text around in different ways. The other thing I would encourage people to remember, and Kirk, you probably know this about me, but remember the Stream Deck.
The Stream Deck.
The Stream Deck.
How did I not say that?
Will change your life.
Oh my word.
I type terrible, and Kirk always knows when I typed it versus when I used one of my Stream Deck buttons or a text expansion snippet because there's a typo in it. If there's no typo, I've used an automation.
You are so correct. I don't know how I didn't. Stream Deck was on the list. I just glossed over it because that Alex video on the latest update of the Stream Deck.
I haven't seen that. I need to check it out.
Oh my goodness. Like, it actually removes the need to have multiple Stream Decks because, many of us had like 2 30-key Stream Decks. That latest update, game changer. Like, I had to
even
literally
with the old one, like 15 button.
Yeah. Well, I would have a 30 key. I don't know if I'd go any lower than that.
The 32 key one is really awesome. I actually have the 15 key, but I also have a pedal, and I also have a Stream Deck Plus, and I also use Stream Deck mobile. Because I have multiple computers, and I don't want to move the physical devices, I use the mobile on one of my iPads as my 32 key, and it works great.
I use the 15 to your computer. I'll tell you what, the pedal has revolutionized how I do my own pre-recorded videos. I mean, I literally can just hit a button and nobody knows that it's not somebody else that's doing it. It's actually me. It's the pedal has been a revolution for me. But yeah, no, these are all automation things that you will learn. These are all scaling things that you will learn in your process, but you got to know your process. And I think you've kind of highlighted some really great points. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. I do want to encourage you. We're talking about SOP. So I'm a program manager, engagement manager. So I live in processes in what I do. Simple checklist. If you do anything more than once, I just went through this. Using a checklist will save you tons of time, and it literally will build your SOP for you. So when you need to hand it off to someone, my best friend and my brothers are 2 of my team members. My best friend, if I don't teach him, he's not going to do anything. Once I teach him, he'll do everything. I hand him a checklist, he's good to go.
Checklist.
That's cool.
So along with the SOP, the checklist or your checklist could be your SOP.
Your checklist can truly be your SOP. It's your
base.
combination.
Yeah.
We use a concept called playbooks. A playbook is nothing more than a series of checklists that you go through to execute a project, a regular task, or a regular series of tasks. Even when I use automations, and I use them quite a bit, I still build a checklist so that if something goes wrong, and I work in healthcare, so this concept of downtime procedures is ingrained in me. If anything happens with the technology, I have my checklist someplace that I can get to it, and it's my downtime procedure.
Yeah. I love this comment that you just put on screen as well. No step is too small to leave off of a checklist. Well said. Yeah. I love this. I love this. This is another reason why I love content creation, especially live. And this whole addition of being able to bring people in Zoom is ultimate cheat code, because you're causing me to rethink of some of the things that I've shared from a different angle. And I'm like, man, there's value there. I'm going to add this to my notes. Next time I present on scaling as a creator, I will make sure to talk about some of these things as well. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Florence, he's taking your ideas and putting it in his list.
We take each other's ideas.
That's great.
We take each other's ideas. It's okay.
Hey, this is our first time like meeting in person. So of course I've seen you in the comments all the time. This is why we're doing Zoom.
Yeah,
because it takes those comments, which I love, all right? But it takes, I've done radio for a long time, so I would have call-ins, but now that we have the video piece, and even if someone did want to do that video, you could put up the avatar and still your voice could be heard. Like, this is a big deal for where I want the stream show to go. So I'm trying my best to continue to allow this to go, and please know it is wide open for you anytime you want to come on.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Kirk, man, this has been awesome, dude.
Man, bro, every time, I can't believe it's already 7:11 in the Central Time Zone, which I affectionately call the Lord's Time Zone. No shade. I mean, full shade to all the other time zones. The Central Time Zone's where it's at. But no, it's 7:11 for me and Strick. I don't know about the rest of you guys. And this has been a really good time of sharing and learning, and really just kind of iron sharpening iron, where we all get to really throw what we have into the pot, and what we come up with together is better than what we can come up with on our own. And I love the stream show for that. And I love what you do, Strick, in terms of consistency, making sure that this space is here. Is really no other shows that really kind of span this particular space in the Ecamm lineup, and I'm excited for it, brother. Thank you so much for being the host, and for making sure that this is consistently here. Yeah,
I do appreciate it. Even AG is agreeing. He's saying this has been great. So thank you for chiming in. And Eastern is where it's at.
Whatever.
Pacific Northwest. Like, is that a time zone? Is that really a time zone?
PNW. Oh gosh.
So let me say this, and I'm going to end with this, guys. I have Neil coming from the Ecamm fam coming the first Sunday in August. So we're going to be down in July.
Yes.
We're going to be down in July. I haven't said this, and I was thinking, man, we have so much momentum, but I understand why I started taking breaks as a content creator. Right. You need to have those spaces there to kind of collect yourself, to get energy. I need time to be able to do some of these things that Kurt was talking about, read, learn, so when I come back, I have more information to give you. Okay, Kurt and I have more things that we can give you by taking a break. Now, August, we got Daniel coming back the second Sunday. So Neil and then Daniel. Oh my gosh, I really love Daniel and what he's been providing the Ecamm fam. And this is what I'm thinking, that third Sunday that you are available, let's go back and let's do our top 10 apps. Let's do some research do our top 10 apps that we can now give some new applications to the community that they could use based off this conversation that they could have with their content creation. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking that could really help. And then probably that fourth Sunday I'll do like a panel show. I do like a panel show in August because I just love doing panels. I hadn't had a couple of people on this year that I want to have back, and it's always good when we can kind of get a group of us together, and that including the Zoom thing, man, would be bananas. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do.
You got with Zoom, man, you have the opportunity to just bring them in. So I absolutely think we leverage it, utilize it. I said this to Strick earlier. I not even 30 minutes before we went live tonight, I just did another production with Zoom and Ecamm. Flawless. Number one question in the chat was, how are we doing this? How is the comments going up on screen? What am I looking at right now? How is it possible that he's bringing cameras into that square that's been made the spotlight for everybody to see? Like, how is this even possible? So there's some things that I'm learning along the way, and some other content I'm going to have to create, because it's just such a great experience. This Zoom to Ecamm integration is the gift that keeps on giving, y'all. So keep playing with it. Keep utilizing it. I'm glad the stream show is kind of leading the charge and making sure that this thing is open and people can jump in when they want to. So excited for that, man. Excited.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so very much. And Gretchen, I see you. I don't know if I've talked about Dr. Sonny that's inside of the chat, but thanks for the training, DJ Strick and Kirk. Dr. Sonny, thanks for coming by. I think this may be the first time I've seen you come in, but thank you for being a part of the show. Mr. Camera Junkie, be safe on your travels. I know you're coming to this side of the world, to Atlanta, man. Be safe. I wish I was coming to hang out with you guys this weekend, but definitely enjoy the time that you have on this side of the world. And Mr. Raven says, excellent show. Thank you. Oh man. Yeah. I told you, anytime y'all say great things about us, guess what? We're going to put it up.
We're going to put it up.
All right. So that's it for tonight. Not next Sunday. So I'll see you, or we will see you in August.
In August.
Hey, this is DJ Strick, and I would like to thank you for watching another edition of The Stream Show.